Welcome back, everyone. It's Charlie. This is going to be my video for the Joker deleted scene and alternate ending, and obviously a lot of questions about what's going on with the Joker as a character during the new Batman movies that are being made with Robert Pattinson and Matt Reeves. There's a whole bunch of Easter eggs, so if you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to get everything. We'll actually do a giveaway for the Joker movie on Blu-ray. All you have to do to enter is be a subscriber and leave your favorite moment from the movie on the video. So we'll start by talking about the Joker alternate ending and deleted scene, then I'll talk about the Batman movie and what's going on with the Joker character during the new trilogy. The deleted scene is a big change to the ending and a big change to the version of the Batman mythos that we got during the movie. Because the one that we got, even though there are a couple minor changes, is pretty close to a comic book accurate version of his origin story. They just kind of leave it at that moment with him in the alleyway. But in that version, one of the rioting men in the clown masks hears Joker's broadcast from Murray's studio as inspired by his words, and he just happens to be standing outside the movie theater that Thomas, Martha, and Bruce Wayne just exited, follows them into the alleyway, and gives us our expectedly, mostly comic book accurate version of a Batman origin story where he guns down Thomas and Martha Wayne, ripping off the pearls, which is also right off the comic book page, and leaving Bruce sitting there in shock with their bodies around him. You also probably noticed a bunch of Batman Easter eggs as they're exiting the theater too, meta Easter eggs for the Joker character as well, because this is meant to be early 80s era Gotham, and they actually date it because of the movies that are being released as you see on the walls and the posters. Excalibur is just a really awesome old school King Arthur movie. If you've never seen it, I would recommend it. Zorro the Gay Blade is just a comedy version of the classic Zorro story, and then the comedy film Arthur, all three of those were released in 1981, so you say the Joker movie happened in 1981. The one minor change that they made to the classic comic book Batman origin story is the actual movie that they were seeing at the theater before they were gunned down. In the original version of the origin story, it was the 1940 Mark of Zorro movie because adult Batman was created in the comics in 1939, so that just happened to be the most recent version of Zorro that was released publicly. They just changed that to this version of Zorro to be period specific to 1981. I also kind of feel like they included the Arthur comedy movie because it would have been playing around this time and his name is Arthur Fleck during the movie. The alternate version of this ending would have been dramatically different and a much bigger change to the Batman origin story. In the deleted scene, when Joker is in the white clothes at Arkham Asylum talking to his therapist and starts laughing, saying, "I was thinking of a joke, you wouldn't understand it," we would have flashed back to the same scene of Thomas and Martha Wayne dying, but instead of Joe Chill being the one in the clown mask to kill them, it would have been Joker himself killing the Waynes. Then as he turns to walk away, Bruce Wayne starts crying out in shock. Joker pauses a beat, shrugs, turns around, kills Bruce Wayne too, then walks away. It would have definitively answered what their take on the Batman character was. Like, no, there's not going to be a Batman in this universe. Obviously, because that scene didn't make it into the final cut of the movie, it's not canon anymore, and you could still assume that someday there will be a Batman running around this version of Gotham. But you probably understand why they chose to get rid of that scene. It sounds horrifying and just in favor of something a little more toned down, a little more comic book accurate, and way more ambiguous just to give the audience a chance to take their own interpretation. If you were confused about what was going on at the end of the movie and what this symbolism meant with him walking down the hallway, so the scene of Joker talking to the therapist was supposed to be happening after a short time jump where he was eventually captured by the police, brought to Arkham Asylum, and this person is just evaluating his mental state. The very end scene with the jump cut to him walking down the hallway as the music's playing, leaving the footprints, is meant to imply that he killed the therapist, is in the process of escaping Arkham Asylum, and will go on to become the comic book Joker. Yes, since the movie has won all those awards, Joaquin Phoenix just won Best Actor for Oscar. Well deserved. Congratulations to him. He had a great speech. There has been real talk of them doing a Joker sequel eventually, but there's been no talk of what that would be, what time period it would take place during. I'll do more videos for it if they make some more official announcements. If they really are going to do a sequel, I think one of the best characters they could go for if they want to do something in the DC Black Label universe that's not connected to any of the other Batman or Justice League films, the Riddler would be a great character to do a spin like you did on the Joker with Joaquin Phoenix. Tom King just did a big story about the war of jokes and riddles. It was all about them battling, the Riddler and the Joker, over who got the honor of killing Batman. It was funny how they almost didn't even care about Batman while this was going on. They were so fixated on each other. So it was really like this big turf war that they had, which I think you could totally do on the lesser scale that these DC Black Labels seem to be, like them spending less than $100 million to make it R-rated. But because they just released that new Batman teaser with the first look at Robert Pattinson's Batman in the new Batsuit, everyone is wondering, what are they going to do with his most iconic villain in the new Batman trilogy? I've seen a lot of you also asking, would Joaquin Phoenix's Joker ever cross over with the new Batman movies if the timeline makes sense? Well, when they were making the Joker movie, Todd Phillips was hyping up his DC Black Label like, this is meant to be separate, I'm doing my own thing, I don't want to have to pay attention to what those other people are doing with the other DC and Justice League characters. Doing it that way is also part of how he sold them on doing a rated R version of the character, because you couldn't really do a rated R Joker trying to cross it over with the PG-13 movies. You would have to tone it way, way down. When people specifically asked Todd Phillips about crossing over with the Robert Pattinson Batman movies, he said definitely not, at least right now. But when you think of this from Matt Reeves' perspective, because he's making a Batman movie, so he has control of pretty much any character that he wants to use from Batman's rogues gallery. Right now, Joker is confirmed to not be in the new Batman movie that they're filming right now as we speak, but eventually they're going to make their way through all of Batman's biggest, most iconic rogues gallery of villains through the other films in the trilogy. You can still get away with not doing Joker in the second movie in the next 2 to 3 years because you still have a ton of awesome classic villains that aren't going to be in the first movie, like Clayface, Mr. Freeze, Two-Face. So early prediction, Matt Reeves doesn't try to use a version of the Joker until the third Robert Pattinson Batman movie, assuming that they do get through a new trilogy and everything goes well. That would be minimum 5 to 6 years before that could even happen, so by that time, they'll be fine to recast a new version of the Joker character if they want to exist within the continuity of those new Batman movies. So as of right now, I don't think there's any plans to cross over Joaquin Phoenix's Joker with any of the other DC movies. If he does Joker 2, it'll be its own thing off by itself. That's kind of the way they're pitching the new Batman movies, is they take place off in their own little bubble of continuity because it's set during a different time period. So he hasn't met Aquaman yet, he hasn't met Wonder Woman, Superman, any of those other characters, so you don't really have to worry about him crossing over with the other Justice League films anytime soon. I realize DC's continuity sounds like it's kind of a mess right now because Birds of Prey is connected to the first Suicide Squad film, but James Gunn is getting ready to release a new Suicide Squad movie, which is kind of a reboot of the franchise. Then you have the Aquaman sequel, which is still technically connected to Justice League. You have Wonder Woman 1984, which is set during the past. So don't worry about it too much right now. Just on a case-by-case, movie-by-movie basis, I will explain the timeline and what's connected, what's not connected. They actually just dropped a bunch of new previews for Wonder Woman 1984, and it seems like we got our first look for what Cheetah actually looks like during that movie, so I might do a breakdown of that sometime soon. But everyone, let me know in the comments, what do you want them to do with the Joker character in the new Robert Pattinson Batman movies? Do you want them to recast a different version of the character, or do you hope that they just skip the Joker altogether and they never do him again inside the Robert Pattinson movies? Everyone, click here to rewatch that new Batman teaser trailer, and click here for my brand new Avengers Infinity Saga deleted scene. Thank you so much for watching. Everybody stay awesome. This is the way.